Fritz Henderson took over from Rick Wagoner, who was forced out in March as GM headed for bankruptcy. Now, joining us with his reaction is David Cole. He is the chairman of the Center for Automotive Research. David Cole, welcome to the program.
Good to be with you.
David, does this jeopardize GM's exit from bankruptcy? Does it prolong the agony?
Well, first of all, GM has exited from bankruptcy, so they're not a bankrupt company anymore. They're just owned by the government, some debt holders, as well as the healthcare trust. But it just is another scene in the unfolding drama of this industry. But frankly, when you look at a CEO position, I would also say CFO, those are really more like staff positions in a sense because they don't really get into the guts of the industry like the product development, sales and marketing, manufacturing. And so you could bring in somebody and could do a very credible job. It would be much more difficult in some of those other areas. But the heat's on for GM to turn around as fast as possible.
David Cole, why do you think Ed Whitacre and the board did this? What went wrong that forced Fritz Henderson out?
It's really hard to know. If you look at what is the most fundamental aspect of the business, are they building high-quality, highly contemporary products? And the answer is they have. The products that they've been introducing here for the last couple of years are getting very critically acclaimed. That was not really compromised by the bankruptcy last spring. So I don't know. Did they want things to move faster? Was there a blow-up? Was there a lack of confidence? We won't know until sometime down the road when this becomes a little bit more visible. But Fritz was a very accomplished leader. He was very aggressive. He was certainly not somebody that was committed to the old way of doing business. But there was some type of a schism that really developed. And it was a surprise, I'm sure, because he had been, for example, scheduled to give a speech at the LA Auto Show, and I think tomorrow or the next day.
Tell me, David Cole, who in your mind would be a good fit for the chief executive title at the General Motors?
Well, I would say the kind of model would not be somebody that's good as a king. The model that works today is somebody that looks like a coach. And if you could look at the John Woodens and Vince Lombardis from sports, you'll find the kind of an individual that is a really good coach. It means that they know what they don't know. They have a good team around them. They support the team. They obviously are going to keep the heat in terms of performing at the highest level as possible. And there are a number of people that would qualify for. If you look at the decision that Ford made here a couple of years ago with Alan Mulally, who came out of the Boeing operation, Alan is a coach-type figure. He connects with people. He doesn't mean that he's a soft touch. He's not that at all. But he's got the team fully behind him, and he's behind the team. And that's the kind of an individual that they need in this position.
David Cole, what about the Chinese? Do they now look at GM in a different light as a potential, well, as a partner? I mean, the GM's Chinese operation's very profitable.
It is. I don't think that changes at all. I would say, again, that a CFO position or a CEO position, while they are important in terms of the relationships, they don't get into the real guts of the business. And you can replace somebody like that without major changes in the business. And Fritz was not the kind of a guy that was the embodiment of the company. He was a true team player. Part of that comes from his athletic upbringing, but we just don't know the whole story. But I don't think it's going to really have any impact on their operations around the world.
David Cole, what about the efforts to shed some of those GM operations overseas, particularly the Opel business, and also what happens to Saab? Do you think that this is related to the resignation of Fritz Henderson?
It's hard to know. I think Saab, that story is not all over with yet. The original bidder has, but there are others that are, I think, waiting in line and potential. But it's however you look at it, Saab is very, very small. Opel was a little bit bigger deal, and I don't think that the management team wanted to lose Opel, and I think the board agreed with them on that. But who knows what happened within the details of the board meeting where this thing really came to a head. The concern that you always have in an industry like the auto industry, which is the most complex manufacturing industry in the world by far, is that it's like I drive a car, therefore I know the industry. You've got to be very cautious, even though you may be very bright, to have great skills in another industrial sector, that you can translate those into the auto sector. It's kind of like me going over to the hospital and saying, I've got a PhD. I'll read a couple books on heart surgery and step aside and let me do it because I can do it better than you can. If you see me coming near a heart patient with a knife in your hand and you're on the gurney, you get up and run because that's not a good thing.
David Cole, let me put to you: is this also positive news for Ford? They have been outperforming what is going on at GM, perhaps taking advantage of turmoil at GM. Is this better for competitors now?
No, I don't think so. I think it's you have to remember that the turmoil of today will fade, and ultimately in this business, it's the products that you build, their quality, the execution, the timeliness. That's what's really going to carry the day over the longer term. Ford is doing a good job. They made a really important decision a couple of years ago when they brought in Alan Mulally, and they made another one a couple of years ago when they thought they were close to death and essentially mortgaging the whole company. That's what has kept them out of bankruptcy. But,
right.
You know, they're doing a great job right now. But
all right, I want to
come back and be very strong.
All right, I want to thank you very much, David Cole, the head of the Center for Automotive Research. Also, Bloomberg News' Peter Cook reporting that in a statement from the administration saying this decision to oust Fritz Henderson made alone by the board of directors of GM. No interference from the administration.